beginnings demand courage, the courage to face the unknown with the power of hope. A new year is a moment of decision. We can look to the future in fear of what may be. Our ancestors anticipated autumn rains, imagining that this was the season when fate would decide who would live and who would die. The shofar warned of cosmic judgment, and repentance and atonement were demanded.
But our ancestors' behavior said more than their words. They knew that producing food and preserving life required human effort, human ingenuity, and human will. They sowed and planted, reaped and harvested. Over the centuries, they faced their challenges with the hope of success, the hope of new possibilities and new places, and the courage to move and begin anew. They began new lives in new places. We look for new energy for a new year. Just as our days are renewed in this season, our strength and courage are given new life by our new beginning. Together, the time is now, the place is here, the future is ours.
Shalom Chaverim, Shalom Chaverim, Shalom.
The course of every human life represents a quest for freedom. Children, much like slaves, are not their own masters. As children, we are provided with life's necessities. We depend on others for survival. A life of dependency is not satisfactory for long. The urge to break free, to dream our own dreams, to live our own lives is irresistible. Each of us must eventually release ourselves from the bonds that tie us to the past, for even bonds of love can make us slaves. Only when we find the courage to stand alone shall we earn the right to enter our promised land. That land promises the incomparable dignity and fulfillment which accompany the mature acceptance of responsibility. To flee from responsibility is to return to the house of bondage. Responsibility for oneself is not a burden to be shunned or evaded, but a reward to be treasured and protected. Responsibility for oneself is the privilege of those who have successfully braved the wilderness in their quest for freedom. Our ancestors learned a lesson of value, and their legendary journey through the wilderness teaches a lesson of value to all humanity. Though the risks of freedom are great, security at the price of freedom is an impossible choice for any human being of dignity.
Some believe that change is a sign of weakness. The truth is that change is a sign of life.
Every living thing in the world changes, evolves, grows, and adapts to its environment. Inanimate, unthinking stones may stay the same, rain or shine, and gradually wear away from weather and time. Life learns and adopts what is useful. Life adapts to new circumstances. Later generations may be very different from those that came before.
So too for human culture and for Jewish culture. A diaspora is a spreading of seeds, and just as plants grow differently in different soil, water, and sun, Judaism has evolved into today's many varieties. Indeed, its variety has always been a key to its success, a sign of its vibrant life.
Change is a sign of life. The courage to change is the courage to make our Judaism meaningful in our days, for our lives, for today and for tomorrow.
For thousands of years, we have been writing the real Bible, and it is being written from day to day, and it will never be finished while we have life. All the facts that we know, all the truly recorded events, all the discoveries and inventions, all the wonderful machines whose wheels and levers seem to think, all the poems, crystals from the brain, flowers from the heart, all the songs of love and joy, of smiles and tears, the great dramas of imagination's world, the wondrous paintings, the miracles of form and color, of light and shade, the marvelous marbles that seem to live and breathe, the secrets told by rock and star, by dust and flower.
All the wisdom that lengthens and ennobles life, all that avoids or cures disease or conquers pain, all just and perfect laws and rules that guide and shape our lives, all thoughts that feed the flames of love, the music that transfigures, enraptures, and enthralls, the victories of heart and brain, the miracles that hands have wrought, the histories of noble deeds, of conflicts for the right, of sufferings for the truth, of all the best that all the men and women of the world have said and thought and done through the years. These treasures of the heart and brain.
These are the sacred scriptures of the human race.
If you're comfortable doing so, I invite you to rise as we learn from the wisdom of our people. The Golem by Yud Lamed Peretz. Great men would sometimes perform miracles. When the Prague ghetto was attacked with the intention of defiling the women, roasting the children, and slaughtering everyone else, when all hope appeared to be lost, the Maharal put aside the Talmud and went out into the streets. He went over to the first best clay mound, which happened to be in front of a teacher's doorway, and fashioned a clay dummy. He blew into the golem's nose. The golem started to move. He whispered a name into its ear, and the golem strode out of the ghetto. The Maharal returned to his learning, and the golem turned to our enemies who had besieged the ghetto, thrashing his stumps about. Men started falling like flies. Prague started filling up with dead. It went on, so it is said, all of Wednesday and Thursday. Friday came and the clock struck 12, and still the golem continued to go about his business. Rabbi, the community pleaded, the golem will kill off all of Prague. Who will remain to heat the stoves on the Sabbath or remove the candlesticks? The Maharal again interrupted his learning, approached the altar, and began to say, a psalm, a song for the Sabbath day. The golem stopped his work. He returned to the ghetto, to the synagogue, and went over to the Maharal. The Maharal again whispered in his ear, and the golem's eyes closed. The breath went out of him, and he became a clay dummy once more. To this day, the golem lives in an upper alcove of the Prague synagogue, hidden by spider webs which reach out from all four walls and extend across the entire arcade, so that no eyes may gaze upon him, especially not the pregnant women from the ladies' gallery. That, in fact, is the reason that the spider web must not be disturbed, and whoever does disturb it dies. The elders no longer remember the golem. Only the Chacham Zvi, the Maharal's grandson, still wonders whether the golem may be included in the quorum, the minyan of 10, or the company of 3. The golem, you see, has not been forgotten. He exists, but the name, without which the golem cannot be animated in times of need, it is as if the name has sunk to the bottom of the seas, and the spiderweb grows and grows and must not be disturbed. Do something. What is our golem today? Our golem could be the wonders of technology, the internet and artificial intelligence, as we will explore later. Our golem could be the dogs of war, intended for defense, yet deployed in ways that do not end conflict, but rather perpetuate it. Our golem could be the politics of rage and outrage, marshaling and mobilizing our forces at the expense of reconciliation or coexistence. The golem always seems necessary at the time, and perhaps it is. But then the golem takes on a life and a logic and a force of its own. In this story of the golem, the Jewish community of Prague stops its golem for its own reasons. Not humanitarian concern for the suffering of its enemies, but out of a need of them for symbiotic existence, to help Jews observe Shabbat. We aspire to more empathy, to deploy force when needed, but to remember the Jewish principle that each life is a universe. We remind ourselves of the Jewish story that when angels celebrated the death of Pharaoh's army in the Red Sea during the Exodus, the Hebrew God rebuked them by offering sympathy for the dying. Of course, there are also Jewish stories of vengeance, exulting in the downfall of our enemies. Even as we defend ourselves, we should appeal to the better angels of our nature. We can also consider the golem as a metaphor for our psyche. What defense mechanisms have we created that now have a life of their own, that cause more damage than we would wish? What conflicts have grown and grown until they seem unfixable? What monsters lurk in our attic, waiting for the wrong word to bring them to life and to attack again? When has our self-defense become more destructive than protective? Paradoxically, the use of force is a delicate thing in society, in war, in our relationships with each other. We can and must defend ourselves, yet that very defense calls forth impulses that threaten to overwhelm our thoughts and values. The golem is ever watchful, ever waiting, and the price of our golems is eternal vigilance. Please rise as we return our Torah scroll to the Ark.
There are always reasons for pessimism. With little justice humanity has managed to create is far outpaced by the tragedies of human cruelty and an indifferent universe. The attractions of virtue are meager, and the temptations of vice are many. Advances in science and technology have made death and suffering more possible in our world than at any time in human history. How much greater the courage then to acknowledge these realities and then refuse to be defined by them. How much stronger to face injustice with renewed commitment, to affirm virtue in the face of vice, to use our new power for good and not for evil. How much more inspirational to face human challenges with the courage to hope. Whom would you follow? The one who curses the dark, or the one who lights a lamp to show the way we must go?
Sachaki, Sachaki, ala halomot, zuani ha-holen sak, Sachaki kiva arama amin, ki odeni mamin mak, Sachaki kiva arama amin, ki odeni mamin mak. Laugh at all my dreams, my dearest, laugh and I repeat anew that I still believe in people, as I still believe in you, that I still believe in people, as I still believe in you.
Kan al pnei adama, here on earth. Kan al pnei adama, lo be'avim me'al, al pnei adma hakrova ha'em, להעצב בעצבה ולהגיל בגילה הדל, היודע כל כך לנחם. לא ארפילי מחר, היום המומש ביד, היום המוצק, החם, האיתן, לרבות את היום הזה, הקצר האחד, על פני אדמתנו כאן. בטרם עתה הלל, בואו הכל. מאמץ מאוחד, עקשני ועד, של 1000 זרועות. האומנם יבצר לגול את האבן מפי הבאר?
Here on earth, not in high clouds, on this Mother Earth that is close, sorrow in her sadness, exult in her meager joy that knows so well how to console. Not nebulous tomorrow, but today, solid, warm, mighty. Today materialized in the hand. Of this short day to drink deep here in our own land. Before night falls, come, oh come all, a unified stubborn event, awake with 1,000 arms. Is it impossible to roll the stone from the mouth of the well?
Bashana, Bashana.
We live and find it hard to live. We are consumed by anxiety, and we know that nature is stingy with satisfaction. We are terrified by the limits of our wisdom, and we shiver in the cold of human ignorance. Love touches us with pleasure of fulfillment and runs away too soon. Pain squeezes the marrow of our bones and lingers with malice. Although our suffering cries out for justice, the world answers with deaf defiance. The darkness of evil is a persistent shadow.
We live and find it good to live. We feel the invitation of doing, and we rush to the surprise of new excitement. We see the opportunity of our talents, and we plunge with taste to their fulfillment. Bold events stimulate our senses and tease the ordering skills of our reason. Unselfish acts overwhelm our fears and fill our hearts with security of love. The world is an open door to vital variety and stuns our hopes with boundless promise. The light of our possibility shines through to overwhelming darkness.
When my head got banged on the door, I screamed, my head, and I screamed, door, door. And I did not scream, mother, and not God. Nor did I speak of the vision of the end of days, of a world where there will be no heads and doors anymore.
When you stroked my head, I whispered, my head, and I whispered, your hand, your hand. And I did not whisper mother, and not God. And I did not see wonderful visions of hands stroking heads in the opening heavens. Whatever I scream and speak and whisper is to comfort myself. My head, door, door, your hand, your hand.
Serihim
It was the cold winter of 1944, and although we had nothing like calendars, my father, who was my fellow prisoner, took me and some of our friends to a corner in our barrack. He announced that it was the eve of Hanukkah, produced a curious-shaped clay bowl, and began to light a wick immersed in his precious but now melted margarine ration. Before he could recite the first blessing, I protested at the waste of food. He looked at me, then at the lamp, and finally said, "You and I have seen that it is possible to live up to 3 weeks without food. We once lived almost 3 days without water, but you cannot live 3 minutes without proper hope."
Death needs courage. It is so overwhelmingly final that it fills our lives with dread and anxious fear. When it arrives at the end of a long and happy life, it is never welcome, yet not deeply resented. But when it comes too soon, invading young lives, disrupting hopes and dreams, it adds anger to our fear. We cry out at the injustice of destiny and wait for answers that never seem to come. Courage is the power to confront a world that is not always fair, It is the refusal to beg for what will never be given. It is the willingness to accept what cannot be changed. Courage is loving life even in the face of death. It is sharing our strength with others even when we feel weak. It is embracing our family and friends even when we fear to lose them. It is opening ourselves to love even for the last time. Courage is self-esteem. It prefers quiet determination to whining. It prefers doing to waiting. It affirms that exits, like entrances, have their own dignity. Can I ask you to please rise? There is no season for grief. It is present anytime we feel an absence in our lives. At holiday times, at the turning of the calendar, these losses may be brought to mind when we see an empty seat at the table, when there is no card to receive or to send in the mail, no phone to call, no voice to hear. We create these spaces of memory to feel the love that we still feel. We know that they loved us. We know that we still love them, even though they are gone. So I invite us to pause for a moment of silent reflection, to feel those absences, and to rekindle that love. Let us pause for a moment of silent reflection. In Jewish life, we say, Zecher tzadikim livracha. The memory of good people is a blessing to us. Please be seated as these words are sung. Have we planted the seeds of our own destruction? If you grew up in the shadow of nuclear weapons, you know that question. We who live today with social media, artificial intelligence, internet connectivity, we can ask the same question. When your Facebook feed shows you an ad for what you were talking about 2 hours ago, when your calendar auto-populates with an appointment for a flight you just bought, when Alexa and Siri are always listening and autocorrect knows what you are thinking before you do, you might ask, who's really in charge? Has all this technology become a golem, a human creation running amok that may destroy us all? Film director James Cameron of the Terminator movies recently said, I warned you guys about AI in 1984 and you did not listen. And then last week, he joined the corporate board of an AI company. Even if the sun is shining today, there is a gloom in the air, a feeling of foreboding and doom. The climate is changing with more extremes and more storms. The political center is weakened with more extremes and more storms. The ties that bind are fraying. The future is uncertain, and tomorrow may well turn out worse than today. To face these challenges, we need to affirm our belief that we are not doomed. We are still in danger. Our actions and our inaction have certainly made things worse. We absolutely need course correction. If we resign ourselves to believing that we are doomed, one of two things will happen. On one hand, we may leap at radical solutions that will turn out worse, like the golem of Prague in Jewish folklore, created to defend the Jews against pogroms and then destroying everything in its path. We will seek a Messiah, a magical solution, a savior figure who promises everything and therefore is too good to be true. When systemic change then fails to appear, we will ignore tangible progress and surrender to cynicism and despair. On the other hand, if we say we are doomed, we will give up, throw up our hands, and surrender to fate. If we believe there is nothing we can do, then we will do nothing. We can always do something. That is a key plank of my faith in humanism, the power of humanity to act. The prophets and rabbis also believed in the importance of human action, even if they judged it through their theology. Biblical prophets are a mixed bag, claimed for many causes. They condemn social injustice, and they condemn theological infidelity, using the phrase whoring after other gods to express the Hebrew God's jealousy. For the prophets, the consequences of human behavior are ultimately divine reward or divine punishment. We might say it is cruel to blame the destruction of Hebrew kingdoms on their own sins, but psychologically, at least it's a reason, cause and effect. To some, a world that makes sense, even if it is cosmically cruel, is preferable to a world without rhyme or reason or justice. The problem with this approach is that if disaster strikes, or when disaster strikes, more likely, do you fix your relationship with your God, or do you work with other people to change the situation here and now? The prophets promised cosmic redemption if we just prayed and fasted and blessed and believed strongly enough. That would save us. By contrast, what do humanistic Jews do if we do not pray? Put simply, we do. That focus on human action in this life is also a Jewish tradition. Here is a scene from the aftermath of the destruction of the Second Jerusalem Temple around 70 of the Common Era that shows a choice made by early rabbis. When the temple was destroyed, the number of ascetics increased among the Jews. They would not eat meat nor drink wine. Rabbi Joshua asked them, "Why do you not eat meat nor drink wine?" They said, "Shall we eat meat that used to be sacrificed on the altar when the altar is no more? Shall we drink wine which was poured in libation offerings upon the altar when the altar is no more?" Rabbi Joshua then said, "If that is so, then we will not eat bread anymore, since the meal offerings on the altar have ended." They replied, "We can live by produce alone." Joshua responded, "By your logic, we cannot eat produce since the bringing of first fruits has ended. We will only live by produce that was not traditionally offered. By your logic, we cannot drink water since the water libation has also ended." At this, the ascetics were silent. Rabbi Joshua said, "My children, come and I will tell you. To not mourn at all is impossible, for the decree of destruction has been decreed. But to mourn too much is also impossible. The sages will not issue a decree on the public unless a majority are able to follow it. Plaster your home with plaster, but leave a small amount unplastered as a memorial. Prepare what you need for a meal, but leave out a small item as a memorial." In other words, live life even as you acknowledge disaster. What will be may be, but negating this life to beg favor from the world beyond defeats itself. As we heard last night, if you hear a Messiah is coming while you are planting a tree, finish planting the tree first, then see about the possible Messiah. Human action to preserve life and to act righteously in this world does make a difference, whether or not cosmic redemption follows. We know that our actions change the world. If we are optimistic, it is because of past achievement and success. For all of the risks of technology and human innovation, without them, only a small fraction of us would be alive to celebrate a Jewish New Year today. I am aware of my ironies, the ironies in my warning of the dangers of technology through a microphone. We are live broadcasting and recording this service via computers through the internet. Most of us have more computing power and potential knowledge in our pocket than NASA used to reach the moon. Those here in Deerfield drove or rode in amazing vehicles powered by fire or by wind and sun. The electricity that cools this room and shines through these lights and amplifies my voice is produced by power plants, transmitting power through a grid over many, many miles. Most of us are alive because of the wonders of modern medicine and surgery, diagnosis and treatment, medications and devices that thin our blood, improve our immune systems, repair our bodies, tame our problems. The traditional special moments blessing thanks a God, Shehechiyanu v'kiyimanu v'hikiyanu lazman hazeh, who has kept us alive and sustained us and brought us to this day. Considering the power people have deployed and discovered to lengthen life, I find a humanistic adaptation much more appropriate. Baruch ha'or ba'olam, Baruch ha'or ba'adam, blessed is the light of inspiration in the world and in people that has truly kept us alive and brought us to this day. Nothing comes from nothing, and everything has consequences. Just about anything can become a golem. That electricity that powers lights and devices and cars. In Illinois, there are 5 major sources of power: solar, wind, natural gas, nuclear power, and coal. Altogether, in 2023, they produced 185,000 gigawatts of electricity. That's about 75,000 round trips back to the future. Now, what was the balance among those sources? Wind was about 12%, coal was 15%, natural gas 16%, nuclear power 55%, and solar was 1%. I love my home solar panels, but all home solar put together added less than 1% to our total energy. Now, that's still 2,000 gigawatts, but it's only 1%. Nuclear power, 55%. Nuclear power is mostly clean. It uses radiation to heat water, and the steam runs turbines. So the only resulting emissions are steam and also leftover radioactive waste that may take thousands of years to decompose. So nuclear technology is a golem. It can diagnose and cure disease, it can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and it can blow up the world in a bomb or contaminate our air and water as waste, causing the cancers it cures. The golem of all golems today are AI and social media. We might call it anti-social media. Maybe you have friends or family or creators that you follow who challenge your worldview. But most of us gravitate towards media and people who make us feel good, who affirm what we already believe, who motivate us to be better rather than tell us that we are wrong. I'm old enough to remember, if not the dawn of the internet, at least the early morning of the internet. Some of us still hear that AOL automated voice, "You've got mail." 31 years ago, as a college freshman, I received my first email addressed. We imagined the internet would bridge cultures and break down barriers. It would increase and share human knowledge with lightning speed, and it would change the world. Change the world it certainly has. We did not fully appreciate the short jump from information to misinformation, and the huge leap from facts to actual understanding and truth. Artificial intelligence has learned from what people write, so now autocorrect has been made worse by artificial idiocy. It is unable to tell it's from it's and your from your because people can't either. Something I laughed about 30 years ago should have been more ominous. Like most freshmen, I made my email address my first initial and my last name, A. Shalom. One of my friends, because his Indian last name was 13 letters long, chose Futon at yale.edu. He then made his screen name into Frank Utona. And Frank Utona started sending very weird messages to people in our dorm. It was believable, because what did we know about fake email addresses? I did not blame my friend for all the spam emails, the requests for gift cards that I've gotten in the 30 years since. And I apologize if a spoofer has pretended to be me and taken my name in vain trying to scam you. A few years ago, I received a fake email asking for money from Rabbi Sherwin Wine, a founding rabbi of Humanistic Judaism who died in 2007. The best part was that the email from Sherwin ended, "God bless you." The internet is not truth. It is a loudspeaker. It is a magnifying glass that broadcasts my voice anywhere and everywhere. It also spreads lies, distortions, incitement, hatred. It makes us question who is really on the other end of the line. Today we can ask whether we can really believe what we see and read and hear, and it will only get harder. Someday AI will figure out exactly how many fingers belong on hands and how many arms we actually have, and those deep fake videos will be even harder to tell apart from the real thing. Sadly, over the last 12 months, we have seen all of the promise and the peril of technology play out from October 7th onward. The armed forces of Israel had high confidence that its technology, its early warning system of cameras and sensors could detect any problems. They did not realize that a failure of human intelligence could still happen. The mostly young women stationed at those observation posts reported unusual activities in the days before, and the mostly older men to whom they reported ignored them. When the attack actually happened, cell towers were targeted to disrupt communication. And at the same time, thousands of hours of video was shot, even live streamed, by Hamas and Islamic Jihad attackers and by Israeli civilians fleeing and fighting for their lives. We have seen the horrors of that day, the living hostages and the dead carried away. In the months since, the world has seen tremendous destruction in Gaza as Israel strikes back at Hamas. Targeting terrorists hiding behind civilians causes tragic deaths, period. And now, the rocket fire Hezbollah sent into northern Israel since October 8th has come home to roost, with similar consequences for those caught in the crossfire. All of this ongoing suffering has played out on the TVs, the computers, the smartphones of the world. Those videos do not show what would have happened in Israel without Israel's amazing rocket and missile defense technology. If Hezbollah and Iran's intentions were fulfilled, it would be very different. And yet, there are many who disbelieve what their eyes see. The denial of Hamas atrocities by advocates for Palestinians, the skepticism of Palestinian suffering by advocates for Israel. We turn to video to prove the reality of what happened and what is happening, and we are told, "You are so naive to believe what you think you see. That's just what they're telling you happened." We saw this in 2012 with claims that small children massacred at Sandy Hook Elementary School were crisis actors. The, quote, truthers devastated bereaved families with claims it was all a ruse, a false flag operation to get stronger gun control. The lies started immediately, and it took a decade to get media personality Alex Jones to admit the shooting was real and to face consequences. This is not new or unique to our day. There are 9/11 truthers, and moon landing truthers, and COVID vaccine truthers. We shouldn't be surprised at October 7th truthers or Gaza war truthers. As AI images and deepfake videos get better and better, it becomes harder and harder to know what or whom to believe, let alone the problem of social media bubbles that get stronger and stronger every year, trapping our minds within epistemic circles that confirm what we want to be true. Who does the legwork to research the truth? Who calls out their own side when they cross the line between truth and exaggeration? There's only so much that fact checkers can do. Can we lay the blame for all of this at the feet of the internet and its moguls? Should we demonize Musk and Zuckerberg and Bezos and Jobs and all the rest? Smartphones are psychologically addictive by stimulating endorphins. And gummy bears play on our evolutionary love of sweet taste that helped us find ripe fruit. I love gummy bears, but I do not buy them every time I enter Walgreens, even though they're right by the register and on the way to the pharmacy. It is much easier to spread blame. It is far harder to take responsibility. That is one of the deep human insights of Rosh Hashana. Looking above and beyond for forgiveness, atoning for supernatural sins, fasting from meat and wine and produce and even water, those are all part of the traditional approach to these days of awe and judgment. Yet the rabbis defining Jewish observance after the Jerusalem temple also declared there could be no divine forgiveness without human atonement and forgiveness. The need to repair human relationships, to own up to our own failings to our fellows, to offer forgiveness when they repent to us, to be open to second chances, to believe them when they make amends, that is all action in this world, this life, between us and among us. Putting out a blanket Facebook apology, sorry for whatever I may have done wrong to whomever I may have wronged, that's the social equivalent of a general prayer thrown up to heaven, hoping for a cosmic reprieve. If it opens a conversation, great, but it's not enough by itself. It is no substitute for a face-to-face or even FaceTime-to-FaceTime conversation that clears the air and rebuilds trust. Virtual life is also real life when it's direct and personal to other people. The internet, AI, technology, machinery, radioactivity, electricity, they are all tools. A hammer can destroy or it can build. A scalpel can harm or it can heal. Zoom can connect community, while Zoom bombing can ruin community. So what do you think of this sermon written by ChatGPT? Or was it written by Shalom, PhD? I affirm it was written by me, but you can do your own research. This computer golem did not create itself. We have had our own part in it, and we still have some power. Try turning it off, just for fun, once a day. Try one day without cable news, or one day without internet, or one day without electricity for that matter. If you take careful precautions, you will survive. Believe it or not, you might thrive. And when you return to technology after your Shabbat, your stopping, your moment of silence and stillness, you will remember what it felt like to stop the noise, the power you had to control the machines. You might come to like it. Of all the buttons on all the devices in all the world, off is the most important. As I did last night, I wish you a Shana Yoter Tova, a better year in the year just begun. And our service concludes with a reading on our last page, which is page 13. Please read together responsively in the bold text. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. Together, may it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May we make this synagogue, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Once again, I wish you a Shana Yoter Tova, a better new year. Please wish that to the people sitting near you.